The Easy Rider Bike Show, thousands of motorcycles, women everywhere. But the word on the underground is that the Hells Angels would be there in full force. But this event was at the Queen Mary, a retired British ocean liner docked in Long Beach, California, Mongols Motorcycle Club territory. Scott Jr. Ereckson was national president of the Mongols Motorcycle Club and had a big decision on his hands. He had to take up a vote. Was it even worth it to show up? What would happen next would impact motorcycle culture even to this day. Let's go directly to the source from the man who was there, Scott Jr. Ereckson.
I'm Scott Jr. Ereckson, and this is my story. Okay, the Queen Mary, which was kind of an interesting situation. It was probably my first term as National P, and we had moved the national presidency down to San Diego for the first time. I had got the position, and we had taken it down to San Diego. It was okayed by everybody. It's the first and only time that Mother Chapter has left the LA area. So I was National P, and I was at the time, I think, 28 years old, out of San Diego. And they'd called a president's meeting up in LA. They wanted to have one, so I had to go up there. I went up to LA for this president meeting, and the issue was there was a bike show coming up. It was called the Easy Rider Bike Show. It was going to be held at the Queen Mary. So the issue was, do we go or do we not go? And I'm saying, well, what's the issue? And they said, well, the Hells Angels have already said they're going to attend. And I'm saying, okay. So another brother who was adamant about going, another president says, we got to go to this thing. He says, Long Beach is our turf, man. This is where we are. We have a chapter in Long Beach. It's ours. The Queen Mary's in Long Beach, and we have to go. What I do is I bring it to a vote. And like I said, I don't think everybody was 100% for it, but the majority was. We had a majority vote to go. So we discussed it about going, and we weren't sure how many of those guys were going to be there. At the time, our club wasn't real large at the time. I mean, maybe we might have had maybe 100 guys at the time. And you're talking late 80s, we were still coming up and earning our respect and everything. Anyway, so they decide we're going to go. We all decide we're going to go with the Queen Mary. So the day comes. So we get everybody at the clubhouse. Now, like I said, I was from San Diego. I had a panhead with a rigid frame. It's like every time I rode this thing, it broke. I mean, nuts rattled off it. The frame cracked. The tank mounts broke. So at the time of this run of the Queen Mary, my bike wasn't up. So I had to drive. I caged it down there with my girlfriend. I caged it down there and had this meeting. So we all got in there and walking around the meeting before we left for the run, and it was quiet. I could tell everybody was thinking about it. You could have heard a pin drop. So we had a couple of people we had sent ahead of us. So I kept saying, did you get a phone call yet? I want a head count. I said, I want a head count of how many of those guys are there. So I said, we're calling. We can't get a call. I said, get a call. So we finally got a call, and they were estimating there was at least 50 of them there, 50 Angels. So I looked around, and I told my sergeant at arms, I go, what do we got? I go, how many people are in this clubhouse right now? And he comes back to me, he says, we got 64 guys. I go, there's 64 of us in the clubhouse? He goes, yeah. He says, but we got about 8 there already. I said, okay. I said, they spotted 50, but there could be way more. And he says, yeah. I said, all right. I looked at everybody, I said, you guys ready? I said, let's roll. So everybody got on the bikes rolled. I went outside, we got in the car, and I could see people were nervous. I was nervous myself. It was like, but when there ain't no time to be nervous in something like this. You gotta get it handled, man. I mean, Long Beach is ours. We gotta make a statement just the way it is. So as we're taking off, it starts to drizzle, starting to rain. So we leave the clubhouse. Pac's in front. I'm in the back in the car. Pac makes it hits the light. Okay, I get caught at the light. So I'm yelling at my girlfriend, what the fuck? You know, I said, now what are we gonna do? She said, I don't know. The Pac's gone. By the time I catch a red light, they're gone. So all I know is I got to get on the 710. I'm heading down the 710. I go, I can't even see the Pac. I don't know where they're at. So I get off the freeway and I said, I need to get to the Queen Mary. The guy at the gas station says, well, he says, just go out to 710. He says, you'll see all the turn off the lights and everything, right? For the turn off for the boat. And I said, all right. So we got out there and we found it. So we go pull in the parking lot and I'm looking. So where the hell are these guys at? You know, where's my guys? And parking lot's so big. I mean, it was an Easy Rider bike show. There were thousands of people there. You know, there's people on the inside, people on the outside trying to get in. It was a big event. So as we come into the entrance, the gate, you know, where you got to pay in the arms there, you're driving through, I see about 5 Hell's Angels at the gate. And I'm thinking, okay, they're at the gate. So we make it through the gate. We go to park. So I'm still looking for my brothers, right? It's like, where are these guys? Anyway. So I park the car and I get out and I put on my patch. And the girlfriend I had at the time looks at me and says, are you sure you want to do that? I said, what do you mean? She says, I mean, you're by yourself, dude. There's nobody around. I said, yeah. I said, I am who I am. I said, I'm wearing my patch. So we took off walking and she goes, well, where are we going to go? I said, just head to the ticket booth because they're going to be buying tickets is where they're going to be at the ticket booth. So we got to the ticket booth and as we're walking to the ticket booth, I catch a brother. Brother comes running over. Brother named Woody comes running over. And at the time, he's a prospect. Woody says, hey, he comes up to me, he says, hey, man. He says, there's the man's behind us. So when he tells me that, the first thing I think is there's a cop walking behind us. And I said, I get it, you know, yeah. I said, don't worry about it. So I think we catch up a couple more stragglers. Here's another brother. Hey, another brother comes up, another brother. Oh, hey, Junior comes up over here. So now we're in a crew of maybe 7 guys, and we're walking as a group towards this ticket booth. So the prospect, Woody tells me, hey, he's still there, man. So what happens is, as I get to the stairs, I turn, I look, and it's a Hell's Angel. And I'm going, okay, it's a Hell's Angel. I go, one dude, I go, ain't gonna be a problem. So what I do is, I back against the wall, and I put everybody against the wall, and I face him. Now, when I face him, there's a crowd of people there. Everybody starts dissipating. As they start dissipating, I see what I'm up against. There's about 35 of these dudes, maybe more. I'd say at least 35. So the guy in front of me that had followed us up there is real jumpy. And he tells me, and so I already know what's going to happen, right? He's jumping, it's going to go down. Right now I'm thinking, how am I going to handle this? I said, I got about 6 dudes, or about 35 of them, and I'm thinking, I got a split second would think, I'm thinking this ain't going to come out well. But I'm thinking, this is it. This would be a make it or break it for me as a president and for us as a club. So I look at this guy and I said, you know what? I go, you. I go, come get some of this. And I rushed him. So as I took off rushing the guy, his eyes lit up and he took off, and he took off opposite direction, but there was a guy behind him, size of a bull, came at me. So he sidestepped, the guy behind him came at me, and we hit like two pit bulls, chest to chest, and hit the ground. So when we hit the ground, I ended up on top, and I was just letting this dude have it. I mean, I was all over him. So I could hear the commotion, you know, it was like a flood. I mean, everything was black, I was getting hit. So it was like, I can kind of compare it to like an undertow. You're just fighting to get to air. So I was fighting to get to the top. I got to the top. I got to the top, and I got back to that wall. And it was me and Woody against that wall. Now I'd look down, and the other 4 or 5 that were with us were already knocked unconscious. They were getting kicked. They were on the ground. They were done. You know, it was just me and Woody, and so the thing I had going for me is I had my back against the wall, and they kept coming. So the way they do is they shoot in like 5 at a time, 3 or 4 at a time, coming at me. And most of these guys, believe it or not, I was young, I was in shape, I was 28. These angels we were fighting were all old dudes, heavyweight, overweight, fat old guys. So they'd get winded. So they'd come at me, about 3 or 4 of them, and I'd throw, bam, 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 throw with them. And then they'd step back and a fresh 3 or 4 would come in and I'd be dealing with them. They could never really get the upper hand because I had my back against the wall, and I was, in my head, I knew I couldn't fall. I said, I knew if I fall, I'd be done. But they were getting me. I mean, I had some longer hair at the time. One guy would pull my hair. I'd get crapped from the side by another guy. But I can honestly say, every guy that I met eye to eye with and went after was scared and was just trying to get away from me. We did our best, man. We held him off, and Woody was next to me. And like I'm saying, this guy's a prospect. And I mean, how many prospects are going to fight next to their national president? It was just me and him. So what happens is he gets clipped, and he goes down. So now it's just me. All the guys are down, just me, and Woody's down. So I try to fight. I got an eye on him. I'm watching, and he's got his hands up. They're stomping him out pretty good. And he's got it covered. I could see it turning and stuff. Then all of a sudden they kick him once, and his hands go to his side. And he's no longer defending himself. So I'm thinking they're going to kill this guy, man. So what I did was I fell on top of him and covered his head with my body. Wow. And I'm telling him this whole time, I said, don't die. I said, don't die. I said, keep breathing, keep breathing. I said, I'm here. So while this was going on, they were stumping me out like a cigarette. My ribs were busted. I'd gone down, and I knew once I went down, it was over, but I went down. I had to go down, or they were going to kill him. So what had happened was the brothers were actually parked. Our group that had gone on the bikes were only actually maybe 75 yards away, and had heard the commotion. I mean, you could hear the commotion, the fights, people yelling, screaming. And somebody said, hey, something's going on over here. So they came in a rush. They came across. I remember I was on the ground. You know, I remember one of my eyes were probably almost shut, and I'm looking up, and I got blood running on my face. I look up, and like banshees through the night, these guys are, you know, the rain's coming down. You got the floodlights, and the rain's coming through the floodlights of the parking structure, and they're coming through, and it was insane. And these guys are screaming, running through, and these angels dropped what they were doing, man, and they turned around and they started running. They ran. And I remember hearing them yell, the angels, he says, they're coming. And one guy yelled, where the f*** are they all coming from? And they were just coming. And they picked me up and drugged me to a car. Our brothers did. And as they drugged me, I looked across that parking lot, and I saw angels on the ground with 3 or 4 Mongols on each one, just them up. It was like, yes, you know, we did it. And
This is in front of.
this is thousands of people. This was Easy Rider Bike Show, I believe. I want to say 88 or 89. I got the date tattooed on me. I don't know when it is. But you know, after this incident, it took us all to a different level. It took our club to a different level. Everybody that knew us, it put us at a different level, and the eyes of the Hells Angels put us at a different level. You know, like I said, even I think George Christie, one of his videos, states that it was an ingenious move how we flanked and how we brought a few in, drew them in, and flanked them. When in reality, it really wasn't like that. They caught me kind of alone, and my brothers came to rescue, but you know what? The outcome was the same, right? We flanked them, we kicked their ass. So, you know, I think that right there had elevated us to a whole nother place. I mean, they looked at us different. Everybody looked at us different. The public looked at us different. Law enforcement did us different. The big four, the big five all looked at us different. You know, we were knocking on everybody's door. You know, we were a small bunch of guys, but people knew that we were there to take care of business, and that's how we lived. That's how we earned our reputation, I think.
In the next episode of the Scott Jr. Ereckson story, we take you to Laughlin, Nevada, and talk about the Laughlin River Run riot, a violent confrontation between the Mongols and the Hells Angels. The Hells Angels got some bad information from a police officer that their brothers were in trouble and surrounded by Mongols. This ended with the death of a Mongol and 2 Hell's Angels.